Hey guys, today I'm going to start with how do we go about importing a set of plans into PlusSpec or PlusDesignBuild via Sketchup. And you may notice that if we go up to File and we can go to Import and we can choose a file location to do it. And you need to do this in everything before Sketchup 2020. However, there is an easier way if you have access to your files, you can drag and drop. So if you know the location, I can drag and drop this DWG file or CAD file into SketchUp. Now, merge coplanar faces, orient faces consistently. It depends on the DWG. Usually it's just line work, so therefore you shouldn't need to have these ticked. However, if the DWG you do have has those faces or materials associated with them, you can tick them. I'm going to go OK, and model units is what I'm choosing. Okay, so that's importing now, and you'll notice that as soon as that does import, that we come up with, this tells us what's in it, how many lines, how much poly count is in the model. I'm going to go close, and as soon as I do this, you'll notice that several things. Number one, that probably things haven't been drawn the way they should have in AutoCAD in this particular instance, but number two, that we have all of these layers. And I really want to talk about this today because we really want to clean this up, and depending on the use case of the plan, we may just want to have all of this on one layer. So let's have a look at that, and we're also going to look at organizing different levels of the plans on different layers. Alright, so first things first, you can see that we've got a bit of a issue with that DWG, and if I look at it from top down in parallel projection, or this is top down in perspective, you can still see those problems. However, if we go up to camera, parallel projection, and we look at this top down, we'll actually have, you won't notice that that geometry was in the wrong spot. So I can actually go and just create a scene here now. So in your default tray, you should notice that you actually have things called scenes, which is here, and I'm going to go plus. And really what that's doing is it's saving the camera location, so it's saving the location of this file in 3D space and all of these particular items, right? And if I just called this, I don't know, plan, and there, right, and essentially that's kind of helped me get back to it. If I ever get caught out over here, I can go back to plan and it will reorientate everything for me. Okay, so now I have this. This is a bit of a jumbled mess. Now, guys, entity info in the default tray. If you don't have the default tray open, if you go up to Window and Default Tray, you can hide the tray or you can unhide the tray, right? The benefit of entity info is that if I actually click on my select tool and I click on the plan, you'll notice that everything is untagged, which basically means the layers that we noticed, or tags that we noticed in here before, are inside of this group. So if I double click it, and now if I click on it, you'll notice that that's untagged, and if I went to say here, you'll notice I've got a concrete step. And that basically means that if I went down and I found a concrete step here, I will be able to turn that on and off. Now, I think for SketchUp and PlusDesignBuild, it's kind of really not relevant to what I want to do. And what I'm going to show you now kind of may or may not suit everybody, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to select, and the reason I'm doing this is because I really want to tidy this up. I don't really care. I want to layer things my own name so I understand them. So I selected the first under untag, and I'm going to scroll to the bottom and I'm going to go Shift, and you'll notice it's selected all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go right click and I'm going to delete the tags. And as soon as I did that, it said delete entities is unticked and I have assigned to another tag, which was really what I wanted to do. Now if I had spent the time and actually created another tag up here, I could have actually put that on a tag I specified, but for the moment I'm going to go leave it on the untag layer and go OK. Now this cleaned up my tags or layers menu very, very quickly. And I can now go through and break inside of that group, and I can triple click and just delete things that I just simply don't want. Right, so I'm selecting, triple clicking, and everything that's attached to that line will enable me to delete it. Okay, right. So now I have everything on tag 0, but I actually want to call this things that I understand it to be. And at the moment, this is my basement. So if I actually break inside of that group again, triple click, and I actually go and select just what I want to separate or put on a different tag, I can go right click, make group. Now, I could also create a folder in SketchUp 21 and 20 above. I can create a folder, which means I can put tags or groups of tags inside of the folder. You may not have this in SketchUp 20 before. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go place, and I'm going to call this floor plans. Right, and now I have a tag folder called floor plans. And inside of this folder, I actually want to create another file called basement. In this particular case, you do it to whatever suits you, and then I want to go ground floor, and I'm going to create another one called first floor. Okay, now I can also put these inside of, you'll notice that my basement's inside of there, but my ground floor isn't. But what I'm going to do is going to show you how this works. Now I have this untagged geometry, and this is my basement. If I go up to my entity info under tag, I can select which one I want it to be under, so basement. And now when I turn basement off, I've now organized that. I can also go in, and this will be my ground floor, so I'm going to select it, right click, make group, and I'm going to assign this to my ground floor. I'm going to turn that off, and then going to go my first floor, right click, make group, assign it to first floor, and then I have a roofing plan here by the look of it. So I actually need to create another tag, plus roofing plan. Enter. Right, so roofing plan, I need to group that as well. Right click, make group. Now this will save you a lot of time as you move forwards, because you're going to have organized information in the way you understand it. Right, so first floor, ground floor is there. Right, and now you can see that I've done all of mine now. If I turn them back on one by one. You can also adjust the way that your naming works by ticking on name and work in alphabetical order. You might go first, second, third floor, however you like to do it. Now that I have all of these plans together and I have them all grouped, I really want to stack them so that they all sit on top of each other, and I want to create some scenes so I can look at or drawing over these plans efficiently. So first things first, what I want to do is I'm actually going to select, my basement would be the location where I want everything to go. So I'm going to put obviously my ground floor over top of my basement, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to use move as a keyboard shortcut is M, and I'm going to select this wall here, and I'm going to put it over top of my existing plan set. Right. I'm also going to do the same with the others. Move. And when I'm done stacking my plans, I'm then going to go and put them at the correct height according to my elevations. Okay, so now I have all of my plans over top of each other: roof plans, ground floor plan, first floor plan, and basement. Okay. Right. So what I can do is start to create scenes now. So I just want a scene for my basement. Okay, so at the top up here, I can create another scene. I can either go right click and add, which is I find to be quicker, and then right click and rename saves me going through and navigating through my tray. And you can see my layer is called basement, so I'm going to call this basement plan, and then enter. I'm going to turn my basement plan off, and I'm going to turn my ground floor on. Right click, add, right click, rename basement, ground floor, enter. Or I can also do it down here as well. So ground floor I'm going to turn off, turn my first floor on, and if I go to my scenes, here I can add another scene, first floor. Oops. This is about getting organised basically. First floor plan off and roofing plan on, plus roofing plan. Enter. Right, and now you'll notice that I have these scenes across the top here. Now what does that do? You'll notice that what it's doing is it's looking at all of my plans stacked, and if I went back to the very first scene I created, it's gone back to my original location. One thing important, if you found that it didn't actually move the location, in your scenes tab you will have a little drop down arrow here, and when I click and open that, this is telling us what is being saved in the scene, and if camera location is not ticked, you'll find that it will not go and navigate to the location you saved. So I hope that helps you out. Okay, so now we have all of our plans stacked on top of each other. Obviously they are going to have to move up in height, and if I actually turn my mouse here, you'll notice that everything is still sitting at one height. Right. So what I want to do is I actually want to try and get my plans to be stacked above each other on a vertical plane. Now when I'm trying to navigate, it's because when I'm navigating in space, and it was kind of going, so I kind of wanted to navigate from a line. Okay, and so my basement plan, which I can turn my layer back on, let's go back up to here, or tag, my basement plan, I actually want to leave the basement plan where it is at 0, 0, which is where the DWG was imported, and 0, 0 is the height above the XY line, right? But I want all of my other plans on because all these other plans are going to be above. So now that I have 3 sets of plans, and this is this set of plans is actually done in Imperial, I'm going to move all of these plans up the distance of the ground floor walls. And I'm just going to assume at this time that it's 10 feet. You should be checking your elevation. So I'm clicking on the corner and I'm going to go move, which is here. I'm just going to go escape because I don't want to move it that way. I'm going to move up. So I click my up arrow button and I type in 10 feet or 3 meters or whatever it is. Now, if I go back to my basement plan, you'll notice that it controlled everything there. If I turn all of them on, you'll notice that now all of my other plans are 10 feet above the original location, but still stacked, because I went up on a blue axis and I did it. So therefore, if I actually left my basement plan on and I turned my roofing plan on, I really want my first floor to stay where it is. So I'm going to turn my first floor off, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to select these other plans and I'm going to move them up the next distance. Right, it looks as though we've got a line there that's actually joined these plans together. I'm going to delete it. Okay. And it's still something that is grouped between those plans. So there is a bit of an issue there, and it's got to do with when we looked at those plans before, you'll notice that the things weren't all drawn on 0, 0 axes, and that can be a little bit difficult. What to look for is to triple click on the plan and see which, or Control A, which items are actually connected to the ground floor plane. You can see there's one there. I can delete that. can then move that plan individually up to the distance that it shows on my elevations. But there is one other way we could actually choose our heights. And if we actually took one of our elevations here and we group that and create it as another tag, we could turn it and put it the way we want it to go. So I'm going to use this one here. So what I'm going to do is break inside of the group. I'm going to group this, right click, make group, and I'm actually going to create another tag for this. So you'll notice that we have floor plans folder that I created there first. What I probably should have done is put all of my floor plans inside of that folder. I can drag and drop them up. Right. You'll notice that I still haven't got my first floor in there. Drag that inside of there as well. I need to turn it on. Okay, so now I have all of my floor plans inside of a folder, and I might also want to create a folder for elevations. You'll notice because it was selected, it created inside of floor plans, and I didn't really want that. So I can actually go and right click and delete. Select on untagged, create another folder, and now I can call it elevations. Enter. Right, so inside of my elevations folder, I can now create front elevation. Enter. Oops. I'm only going to do this just for one because it's repetitive. Okay, and I'm going to add this via my entity info to my front elevations, actually side, but I think you get the idea, and go enter. Right, and what I want to do is I actually want to turn this so that it stands upright. So I'm going to use my rotate menu, which is here. You could also have large tool set open, and it would be down here. The keyboard shortcut for this is Q. And you'll notice that it's trying to stick to the blue plane because I'm hovering over geometry. If I use my right arrow or my left arrow, it will enable me to rotate it whichever way I think is appropriate. So I'm going to first rotate this 90 degrees, and I'm also going to rotate it, I think that's actually correct. Alright, so I'm going to turn my floor plans back on, and I'm going to move that over to where my floor plans are. Ground floor plan. Okay. And I'm going to go in and find the base that will line up with the plan. And I'm assuming this wall here is going to be reasonably easy to find, so move. And looks like the front of the stairs is going to be easiest for me. So I'm just going to place it here roughly at the moment, and then I'm going to go over and find the front of my stairs here, and you'll notice that I'm on a red axis. I could use my right arrow buttons if I chose. Go shift, and line that up with there. Okay, right. Really important when you're doing this to ensure that when you're using your orbit tool, which is the center mouse button, that you do it from geometry, because there's a lot going on behind what's going on here. Okay, so now I have my elevation. Now, it appears to me that this elevation isn't the same scale as my floor plan, and that's a bit of a problem. Now, if you're using PlusSpec or PlusDesignBuild, you could actually take a measurement. It also looks to me as though that's correct. That's correct. So what I can do is I can take a measurement. I'm just going to open my large tool set. Got it open here. And I'm going to take a dimension from the extremities of the plan. Let's double check this, guys. Obviously, if you have a set of PDFs or you have the CAD file, you can take a dimension to ensure that the scale is correct. And I like to dimension to ensure everything that we've got is correct. However, in some instances, the elevations have been drawn at a different scale to the floor plan, and if you do want to change that, say for instance I wanted this 8 meters 312 to be, say from here to, let's just say here, you can see I've got 2164. If I select this and I go up to my PlusSpec toolbar and I click on my scale tool, I can scale this unique to what it is I want to do, and I'm just going to type this in. So from here, I'll make it from here to here, I want to make it 21642. So I type in, so left click 21642 and enter, and you'll notice it scaled that plan individually. Now you can see that I didn't quite get the right measurements there, but you are going to come across instances where you've got floor plans and elevations at different scales that have been drawn inside a CAD, and you can scale them individually. The benefit is once you have them in there, I can go back and turn on all of my plans and I can line them up with my CAD file. You can see that my CAD file is high there. I'm going to move it down. Blue axis, push shift, get it to where I want it to go. And then I can go through and start to line up the rest of my plans accordingly. And if I want to make sure that I'm moving the right plan, so for instance the roof plan I want on, but I want everything else off, I can go in, grab my roof plan, and I can line it up with where I want it to line up. And the benefit of this is that now we can trace over geometry at the right height. Turn them all on and you'll notice we're starting to separate our plans into heights. If I go back to my basement plan, I may want to turn this elevation off in some instances, so turn my elevation off, go right click update. You could also update it in your scenes tool, and then I can actually go and start to draw my walls. So walls, type in the height of your wall, I think we said 10 feet. Choose the type of wall you're going to draw, justify it to wherever the CAD file works, and very, very quickly we will start to create a set of plans or 3D model from a set of plans. And this is the best way to get started if you're using DWGs. Sometimes you'll find that your DWGs are all different and you may want to, I'm just going to guess this, I don't know, roughly out here say. Okay, right, now you can see very quickly I'll be able to get to my ground floor plan. I could also put this on a level inside a PlusDesignBuild. It has levels which enables us to very, very quickly sort our geometry. It's probably a better way than actually using layers, and we can then group all of our information and draw this house off those floor plans very, very accurately in 3D, and that's going to save you a heap of time, guys. It's worth practicing. Go back and watch the video several times, but organisation at the start of the project is the key to finishing correctly. Cheers, guys.